Revit offers us a few different ways that we can create roofs. In this movie, I will look at the footprint roof option. Footprint roof option is very similar to creating floor slabs that we looked at in the last movie. We sketch them out as a 2D sketch, and we do that sketch in a plan view. Now I'm here in a file called footprint roof, and I'm currently in the level 1 floor plan. Now there's actually 2 roof plans in this file. There's a high roof and a low roof. And so I'm going to double click the high roof to make sure that I'm working in that view. Now the high roof is the left-hand portion of the building, and the low roof is over here on the right. So we'll start with the high one. On the Architecture tab, we have our Roof button. Now, if you use the drop-down, it's actually Roof by Footprint that you want, or that's actually the default button that you can just click right here if you prefer. That takes me into sketch mode. We talked a little bit about this in the last movie. The drawing window grays out to a halftone. The ribbon tab tints in this greenish color. Our boundary line and our pick walls are our default options again here on the draw panel. And over here on the options bar, we have some similar options that we had with the floor object. And in this case, I want to talk about the defines slope option. Now, since it's pretty common for roofs to have a slope, I thought it'd be appropriate for us to start with this. Now, we also have an overhang feature, and I'm going to accept this default right here of 2 feet. If yours says something different, just go ahead and type 2 feet in there. I click into the drawing window somewhere, and if I move my mouse near one of the walls, what you'll see is it will highlight the wall, but the dashed green line, instead of appearing right on the wall this time, will actually appear at a distance away, 2 feet in this case, because that's what I set the overhang to. Now, by moving the mouse slightly, you can make that go to the inside or the outside. Even if you accidentally click on the inside, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal because we have the little flip grip right here, and I can just click that to make it go to the outside. But we probably want these lines to go to the outside of the building. Now, there's a small little triangle that appears on the sketch line. That's because we checked defines slope. So what you want to do is think of this sketch line as almost like a piano hinge. So if you imagine that that line is hinging, then the plane of the roof, instead of being flat right there at that edge, is actually going to slope up from that edge. And how much it's going to slope is controlled by this number right here. The default is this very strange fraction, 6 and 119, 1/28 and 12, basically 7 and 12. I'm going to change that to a slightly shallower slope of 4 and 12. Now, notice that all I have to type is 4, and when I press enter, Revit will see that as a 4 rise and a 12 run, so it becomes a 4 and 12 slope. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click this other edge over here, make that 4 and 12 as well, and I'm just going to do 2 more. This one. Notice that the corner cleans up automatically here, but not here, so we'll fix that in a minute. And this one. I'm going to go to my trim and extend to a corner, clean this up, because like our floor slabs that we talked about in the last movie, you have to have an enclosed shape in order for the sketch to be completed. I'm going to click the Finish button right here. And if I deselect it, so you can get a better look at it, you can see that we've essentially gotten a hip roof. Now, the best way to see this is to go to our little birdhouse icon over here on the quick axis toolbar. Now, if I hold down my shift key and drag with my wheel, I can spin this thing around and get a slightly better look. Now, of course, that roof is not really what I had in mind. It doesn't match the shape of the building at all, but what I wanted you to see was that we could very quickly create a roof in a very traditional shape, a hip roof in this case. Now, if I select the roof, I can actually modify it anytime I like. I do that by going to the Edit Footprint button on the Modify tab. I can do that right here in 3D. So if you want to, you can go back to the high roof plan, but I can also modify it here. Now what I want to do is take these 2 edges at the end here and select them with my Control key and then simply uncheck Define Slope. When I do that, if I were to click Finish, I get a gable roof. So by deciding which edges are sloped and which ones aren't, you can change the shape of the roof pretty quickly. Let's go to Edit Footprint one more time, and let's make this shape match the shape of the building a little bit better. So now I'm going to go to my boundary line again, pick walls, make sure I have my overhang, but this time I'm going to turn off Define Slope. And I'm going to add a sketch line here to this wall and here to this wall. Notice that Revit automatically trims it up at the corners. If it doesn't, you just use the trim command and do it yourself. I'll click Finish, and let's take a look at what we got. now we have still a gable roof, but the gable roof has that notch taken out of it, and it follows the shape of the building. I'm going to make another quick roof right over here. This is my low roof down over here, and I'll go to the roof command. And it's going to ask me, because I'm working in 3D, which level I want to associate that roof to. So I'm going to associate it with the low roof level. So this is just another way you can do it. If you prefer, you can go to the low roof floor plan instead. I'm going to turn on define slope, pick a point right there, change that to a really shallow slope, 2 and 12. Then I'm going to turn off define slope, add a sketch here, and then finally I'm going to just draw a line manually on this inside edge right there. Click my modify tool to cancel. When I click finish, because I only sloped one edge, I get a shed roof. Okay, so just by controlling which edges are sloped and which ones aren't, you can do quite a variety of different standard roof forms. The footprint roof is very similar to a floor slab, except that typically you're going to apply slope to it. You use the define slope checkbox to make any one of the edges a sloping edge, and that edge basically is treated like a piano hinge. When you click finish, Revit will figure out the 3D geometry from your various sloping and non-sloping edges.